If you have not already done so, when you come to the Castro, there's only one way to see it, and that is the Cruisin the Castro Tours. And here's our guest, who knows all about it, the CEO, Kathy Amendola. How are you?
David, thank you so much for having me back. It's been a real pleasure.
You know, I mean, you've known this because we've known each other a number of years. We're on the board of the Rainbow Honor Walk together. We love history.
Yes.
And I think it's incredible that there is actually a tour that walks the steps of people like Harvey Milk and Sylvester and all these people. Talk to me about Cruisin the Castro Tours.
Sure. Actually, it's San Francisco's premier walking tour business. It's been operating since 1989. And basically, it covers the past, the present, and the future of our culture. I've lived in the neighborhood for, oh gosh, about 15, 18 years. And what's amazing about the Castro is that the history just continues, and people like ourselves with the Rainbow Honor Walk Board is only further putting such education in our neighborhood continuously. So I'm very proud of that, and it's really been wonderful to see how the tour's been progressing over the years, adding all the new things that are coming and all the fights for civil rights that we continue to strive for.
Yeah, because, I mean, this just isn't a tour. This is a political, social experience. I mean, when you walk the Cruisin the Castro Tours, you are really stepping back in history.
Absolutely, and there's so much there. Carol Midgen that you just had on. You know, the rainbow flagpole in our neighborhood, the plaque was installed there with the flag in '97, and Carol was one of the people that Harvey Milk actually paved the way for people to serve in public offices, out individuals. And it was a pleasure meeting her briefly, but these people have made history, and they continue to make history.
You know, I get a kick out of seeing you lead the tours to the Castro. I mean, sometimes I've been in spikes. A couple times I've seen you leading the tour, and someone said, oh, aren't you going to say hi to Kathy? I'm like, no, I'm going to shut up and watch, because I always learn something watching you lead the tours. Where do the people who take the Cruisin the Castro Tours come from? These aren't just locals. These are people from all over the world.
Absolutely. They're all from all over the world. And what's amazing is that, for me, the information is the same daily, but it's always an empowering experience because the tours allow people to interact, to talk about things. And I think the most important thing is that we need to talk about things now. We can't remain invisible. This is a very urgent time to strive for civil rights in our country and the world.
Yeah, because let's be frank. I mean, you know, this is a cable show. I can talk about what I want. I know you're passionate about politics. Do you think now, during the Trump administration, something like the Cruisin the Castro Tours is more important than ever?
Yes, I have found myself, as we all had to pick ourselves off the ground after we've been floored with this election, but I found that my tour is more important than ever. It really is striving to educate people that we don't have equal rights in our country, in our world, and that's not acceptable. And we can't remain invisible anymore. So I had a gentleman from your hometown the other day.
Richmond, Virginia.
Yes. And he pulled me over to the side. He was there with his husband, I believe. He said, you know, I don't have the need to fight for the civil rights stuff or be out. And I said, well, that's fine. I said, but, you know, someday you may just be driven to, you want civil rights. You can't remain invisible. But everybody has to move along at their own pace in their own journey. But it really stuck with me because how long is he going to be invisible?
Yeah, boy, I don't know if I'm glad I wasn't with you or wish I had been. I'd have given him
I thought of you, David. I really did.
Given him a piece of my mind.
But
the Castro Tour is not just about history. I mean, this really is literally, I never walked the Castro without realizing the people that have walked the walk before us and bled and suffered, the people who've died from AIDS, HIV, the women who have walked on behalf of us. Yes. I mean, do you really get a sense of empowerment when you give these tours?
I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't. What's so amazing about the Castro is it covers different parts of history. We have a history. The LGBTQ culture has started in our city back in the gold rush. So we have a very, very deep-seated history here, and every decade was more. But Harvey Milk really brought a culture and a community to an area, which is the Castro. And there are so many sites. The Gold Rush, there's information about World War II, our Pink Triangle Park. There's so many pieces of it. And yes, the AIDS quilt. people have never seen that before, and they really get emotional learning the story and how it all started with
Yeah, they
Cleve
don't
Jones.
realize that, you know, when Cleve Jones, when he and Mike Smith and a bunch of people
That's right.
literally started making quilt in what is now Catch Restaurant.
Correct.
You know, we've got about a minute left. Talk to me about what is your favorite part of the tour physically, but also any particular one story that stands out about someone who was changed by your tour.
Wow, let me tell you. You know, you and I, we can go on talking, and we don't know if anyone's really listening. But I had an amazing story. About 7 years ago, I had a gentleman from Germany on my tour. And when we go to the Pink Triangle Memorial Park, there are rose quartz inside the triangle. I told him to take one, as I do with all my tour members, because if it's going to give them pride somewhere in the world, that's what we want. He emailed me after 6 years, and last year he invited me to a party at the German consulate, coming back from Germany, visiting, and he invited me. I went there. I didn't remember who he was. He found me. He explained about the stone that I told him to take. Kai was a member of the Green Party in the German parliament, and when I told him to take that stone 7 years ago, he decided to be out with his sexuality in the parliament, and then for 6 years he carried that stone in his pocket
As an inspiration for his work.
while he made speeches to bring LGBTQ laws to Germany's government.
Wow. Kathy, thank you as always for being on
Thank
this
you.
show. And I got to tell you, if you want to learn history, take the Cruisin the Castro Tours with Kathy Amendola in the steps of Harvey Milk. I'm David Perry. Thanks for watching 10%.